Based on appearance, what would you guess I am or do? Like, you think do I look like a stoner, a nerd, like just a dad, a musician, homeless? Obviously, I'm in a car, so. But I'm saying that because I was just thinking about how much, we're physical creatures and we make judgments based on what we see and, the outer appearance. And with that, I think that's where, racism comes from, because anything that's different than how we are is weird or scary, or it's not cultured or something, and it's true. We get wigged out by stuff that's different, or if someone has a new idea, back in the day when in the medical field they suggested washing hands, and that was mocked and scoffed because it was the most absurd thing. But then women stopped dying and stuff like that, and that the earth itself, suggesting that was around, was an absurd, ridiculous idea, or spherical, So a lot of these ideas I'm having, as insane as they sound, it's a pretty crazy world. Obviously, we're not smart enough to be in control or have designed this technology that is our self-replicating DNA, and the DNA that's in everything here. I do kind of think of this as a simulation. It's just very high tech. It's very advanced. And whether it's literally us thousands of years in the future creating these avatars and this 3D space for us to experience physicality, there's definitely some kind of supervision or something that is in control keeping it going. I feel like we would have collapsed many times over. We are too naive, and I don't know, there's so much complexity with societies, and complexity with just the nature of who we are and how we attach to things and adapt to things. And where's this guy going? Oh my gosh. That was weird. I was being crowded by two cars on both sides. Some guy just went right in my lane without having a turn signal or anything, or even seeing me. Anyway, yeah, it's the idea. I try not to completely give away my faith to anything, and rather just entertain ideas. People have had all these supernatural sightings and this paranormal, or just this stuff that we can't explain in our Platonian, Newtonian, physics and stuff here, as we know it. I'm willing to wager the aliens, or whatever, you guys want to call it. Aliens is just a word for what we don't know. And we get all woo-woo and spooked out over stuff we don't know. That's why, before we could explain science, it was all witchcraft, But once we know, it's oh, okay, well, that's just another part of science that we understand. Consciousness is still a part of science that we don't understand. How that works, or where that is, or what dimension that's in. Probably multiple dimensions, but who knows? It's too much of a mystery for me to comprehend the origin of that, or how it comes about, how we're just online and go to sleep every night, and we're so forgetful, though. So forgetful. perhaps on the inception of our consciousness, like we actually experience that, we just don't remember it, you know. But I'm willing to wager that these beings in charge of this thing, it's like a lot of top secret stuff. Like I would imagine it to be like the prime directive, like if you watch Star Trek, like don't interfere with human affairs, like let them discover. And then they sneak in little ideas, it's like to get us going. Like how would we advance so fast? Like we definitely, there's some invisible hand at work. It's like giving us little ideas for technology and all sorts of things. It's like the powers that influence, and maybe I'm giving too much credit to a mysterious invisible hand, you know, and maybe the cred should go to the scientists, pioneers, and architects of our modern era. But I'm willing to bet, I'm placing my bets on, like, there is a guiding hand. Like, we probably do come up with stuff, but we get little hints. It's even in movies, like The Matrix. Like, it's a really basic, simplistic concept, idea that they give to us in stories. It's kind of like how Jesus did with the parables. And they give us these little hints of things, but it's all like fiction. So it's not like that, like The Matrix really happened, but it's an idea of how to like orient ourselves here, especially since we don't know our origins. And I have found peace, repose, and in not knowing. It's okay. It's better than coming to these conclusions that like fundamentalists come up with, that is like a sacrificial God that like can't forgive without bloodshed, or like, and I'll tell you, that is not unconditional love. That sounds like an imperialist kind of dictator. Now Jesus is different, obviously, went against religion. But I think it's like the reason the aliens have been here the whole time. Like, they aren't aliens, or I guess that's how we see them, but they're just the archons, the lords of this realm. This is their real estate that we're in, and that's how we get so manipulated. Like, they know our mind better than we do, and they can incite us and like disguise themselves as our thoughts. But it's usually like the archons represent these different modes of being human. It's like archetypes. It's like there's the wanderer, the seeker, the joker, the king, the you fill in the blank. It's like, but there's the archons of jealousy, the archons of like lustfulness, of desire for things. It's a passion. Not to say we don't have that on the natural, but I think naturally it's not like this. This is definitely a realm where there's exploitation and extortion. People getting taken advantage of. And it's all for their grand experiment, even though, like, I think there's only so much to be learned from pain. Like, we could learn in a healthier way, like I've said in other videos. But we just make the most of this. And I think we will, like, break through. Like, we are sparks of whatever, like, the divine, sentient consciousness originates. And I think it's like we're beyond this 3D matrix. There is another aspect of us. And it's like we're learning the different facets of being human. And it's interesting. It's also cumbersome. And like I've said in other videos, I do love a good challenge. But I think our heart should be in it, because when you lose heart, it's like, okay, now I know what that's like. But how long does that have to go on, you know? This version of me is like at odds with that. Like, I'm like, no, like, don't do this to me unless I have like adequate mentorship, unless I have like a good orientation, like really being grounded in like the reality of my situation, internally and externally. Because all this not knowing, all this naivety is, it's really arduous, because we don't really know what's going on, you know. But there's definitely, you know, some benevolent force keeping us like going. Because I know me, like, it's fascinating to me, like, our bodies, our consciousness, like, we don't understand that, like, our DNA, the human genome. It's fascinating that we've just, it's been going for this long. It's definitely like the human enterprise is some type of project, you know, it's like the way I see it. And that can be really haunting to people. Like, it's like Bob Dylan, or like Jimi Hendrix, I don't know who said it, but it's like, it's Bob Dylan, don't criticize what you don't understand, right? And we're doing that all the time. I do it all the time. I criticize what I don't understand because I don't understand it. And like misunderstandings cause cognitive dissonance and like dis-ease. There was something else I wanted to say that is just totally slipping my mind now. But I'll let that be for now.